All right, let's talk about something that you've probably heard a ton about, a topic just swimming in hype and, let's be honest, a lot of controversy. Web3 gaming. You know, the whole idea of building video games on the blockchain. But is this really the next big thing, or is it all just a big, complicated scam? Let's dig in and figure out what's really going on. And that really is the question, isn't it? For every crypto evangelist telling you this is the future of all entertainment, there's a hardcore gamer screaming that it's a total grift. So our goal here is to cut right through all that noise and get to the core of what this is all about. Okay, so if you strip away all the jargon, all the crazy headlines, it really boils down to this one single massive idea. In basically every game you've ever played, from Fortnite to World of Warcraft, you don't actually own that awesome skin or that rare sword you spend hours grinding for. You're just renting it from the game company. Web3 gaming's big promise is to change that. It promises true digital ownership. So, true ownership sounds great, right? But what does that even mean? How do you actually go from just renting an item that lives on a company's server to truly, personally owning it? Well, it's a huge shift in the fundamental plumbing of how these games are even built. Right now, that legendary helmet you have is just a line item in a private database that Blizzard or Epic Games controls. They can change it, they can delete it, they can shut the whole game down, and it's gone forever. The Web3 idea is to take that helmet out of their private system and put it onto a public, shared ledger, a blockchain, where no single company has the final say. And the key, the specific piece of tech that supposedly makes all this possible, well, it's a word you've definitely heard, and maybe even rolled your eyes at. NFTs. But let's just forget the weird monkey JPEGs for a second and think about what this means purely in a gaming world. At its core, the idea is actually pretty simple. An NFT, in this context, is just a digital certificate of ownership. It's like a super secure, publicly verifiable pink slip for your item. It's a unique entry on the blockchain that proves that you, and only you, own the specific sword. And because it's public, anyone can check it. And this doesn't just stop with your magic items. The same exact logic can apply to the game's currency. You know, that mountain of gold coins you farmed? Well, that could become a digital token that you can actually take out of the game and sell or trade on an open market, completely separate from the game developer. So, when you hear the word token, it's just a catch-all for any digital asset that lives on a blockchain. If it's interchangeable, like a dollar bill or a gold coin, it's a fungible token. But if it's one of a kind, like a specific named sword with a unique history, then it's a non-fungible token, an NFT. Simple as that. Now, this whole concept of earning real-world value from playing games led to the first absolute frenzy in this space. It was called play to earn, and it created a massive boom, followed by an even more massive bust. And this story is absolutely critical if you want to understand why so many people are so skeptical today. And if there was one game that was the poster child, the absolute king of this whole movement, it was a game called Axie Infinity. It was all about collecting and battling these cute little NFT monsters, and for a hot minute, it was a global phenomenon. I mean, the level of hype was just insane. Get this. At its peak, a single plot of digital land inside this video game sold for $2.3 million. That's the kind of headline that gets the whole world's attention and brings in a tidal wave of speculators. And it wasn't just a few rich people throwing money around. Real people were playing. At its height, Axie Infinity had nearly 3 million people logging in every single day. For many, especially in developing countries, this wasn't just a game. It was their full-time job. It looked like a rocket ship that was never coming down. So you're probably asking, what on earth went wrong? How did this massive, multi-billion-dollar ecosystem just completely fall apart, leaving so many people with nothing? Well, the answer comes down to one fancy-sounding word: tokenomics. It's really just token and economics smashed together. Think of it as the rule book for a game's entire financial system. It controls how money is created and enters the world, and, this is the important part, how it gets taken out. And Axie's rulebook had a fatal flaw. Here is where it all went so wrong. The game was like a fire hose, constantly spraying out huge amounts of its currency token to players every single day just for playing. That's the source. But And this is the crucial part. There were almost no meaningful ways to spend that token inside the game. There were no sinks. This created a massive supply of tokens that people were just cashing out, and the only thing keeping the price up was a constant flood of new players buying in. You can see where this is going. The second that flow of new money started to slow down, the whole house of cards collapsed. Suddenly, way more people were selling tokens than buying them, the price absolutely cratered, the earnings disappeared overnight, and the whole economy went into a death spiral. It was a really painful lesson in sustainable economics.
That spectacular crash, combined with a whole bunch of other problems, created this huge wave of backlash from the core gaming community. And if you're a gamer, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. The anger is real, and honestly, it's worth understanding where it comes from.
The skepticism is built on a pretty solid foundation of problems. You had a flood of awful, low-quality cash grab games that set a terrible first impression. You had the very real environmental concerns about how much energy some blockchains use. And then there were the scams. So many scams and rug pulls. On top of all that, even the legitimate stuff was just way too complicated for the average person to use safely. It was the perfect storm for a backlash. So, with all that baggage, is there any future here at all? Well, maybe. It's worth taking a cautious peek past the wreckage of the first wave to see what might actually be coming next. Okay, so if after hearing all of that, there's still a tiny part of you that's curious to see what this actually feels like, it is possible to dip your toes in the water without getting totally wrecked. The absolute key is to change your mindset from investor to curious experimenter. Here's the simple little guide. First, be really honest with yourself. Are you doing this for fun, or are you chasing a profit? Because those are very different things. Second, find a game that has a real community. People who are there to actually play, not just to flip tokens. Third, set up your crypto wallet safely, which means writing down your secret phrase on paper and hiding it somewhere. And this is the most important part. Only put in an amount of money that you would be totally fine with losing. This is hobby money. Full stop. So, looking forward, it really seems like the industry is splitting and heading down two different paths. On one path, you'll have what I'd call invisible tech. Big, mainstream games might use a blockchain in the background for things like a secure marketplace, but you, the player, won't even know or care that it's there. On the other path, you'll have these super niche, experimental, crypto-native games built for people who actually enjoy the complex financial side of things.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question. Is this technology a genuine revolution that will give players true ownership and change gaming forever? Or, at the end of the day, is this all just a ridiculously complicated, over-engineered new way to sell us the same digital stuff we already buy? I guess the next few years are going to tell the story.